Hi, my name is Madison Knowles, and this is my Project 2 over Chapter 2, which covers race and ethnicity. Background information is that a lot of people get ethnicity and race confused. Ethnicity is specifically your native country that your ancestors came from. Race is your physical characteristics and appearance. In the United States, the population is very diverse, racially diverse, and it's not different for our classrooms. In the classrooms, you have many different races and cultures that you encounter. Currently, the United States, the dominant race is whites, but that is declining quickly and soon will no longer be the dominant race. Racism's effect on education. As a result of racism still being affecting the United States back then and the progress that we have made to this day, there are many students that aren't being given the education they deserve. This is because of segregation, lack of resources, and many other things. And when you think of segregation, you think of a long time ago, but to this day, segregation still occurs in a certain way due to poverty levels and the different class levels that we have, putting students in schools that they don't get given the resources or the education they deserve by teachers because their parents can't afford to send them to the private schools. One of the biggest and most influential moves was the Brown versus the Board of Education case, and this led to many other cases coming forward to make changes, but this had a big effect because it desegregated schools. The current effects it has on minority students is, as I said, they don't get equal opportunities because there's not enough computers or there's not enough teachers for the student ratio and many other things. In addition, you have schools with zero tolerance rules, and this is called the school to prison pipeline. This is where, because they have zero tolerance because of all the behavioral issues they may have, and this occurs at all different schools, but especially in poverty areas where they mess up one time and they are out, and this has a effect of correlation of showing them leading to prison because they're not in schools getting an education. They're turning towards other things, whether it be gangs or drugs or whatnot, leading them to a life of undesirable events. Acknowledging race and ethnicity issues in schools. One of the biggest things that the chapter discussed that opened my eyes to was colorblindness. Although it sounds helpful, it really hurts and pushes back the progression for students of color because as teachers we think we don't see color, we see all of our students the same, but really we should be acknowledging those differences and making students proud of them and aware of them. Some of the different ways you can do this is through equity, student communities, and intergroup relations that can help learning all around. Student community specifically talks about understanding the communities that your students come from and how their cultures work and different things like that so that you can reach them better. Intergroup relations is putting mixed races and cultures together to work together so that they build those relationships inside the classroom. Also, the discussion of racism and racial identity in the classroom. It can be very uncomfortable for students and even teachers, but really discussing it and understanding it and learning about it is one of the best things you can do. Lastly, incorporating it into our classroom curriculum, especially in the social studies aspect. Application to the real-world classroom. I've come to understand more than I thought I already did over this chapter about the effects of racial and ethnic discrimination that occurs because it is still very evident to this day. I also became more aware of the long-term effects it can have on students. One application I found is that I can give resources to help my students be more aware of their cultural differences and hopefully build that acceptance. Another example is that I have an even mixture of African American and white students in my classroom, but the minority is Latino students, and I have one Asian student. He is very much, out of the realm of other students, but I want to work on understanding their communities because I know they're very much different from my own, and making sure I give them real examples that apply to their life so that they can understand material better. The resources I used were the Multicultural Education and Pluralistic Society textbook that is for this classroom. And thank you for listening to my presentation.